a long time that we saw each other's face online, but I'm happy that I can connect to all of you at least after a long time through this day one's webinar on emotional intelligence. So shall I start, Kiran?
Yes, ma'am.
Why this topic emotional intelligence? I was like, it's one of, I could say, very much related topics to all of us, especially teaching fraternity, because we have to meet lot of students in our life, lot of students, varied students, and students all of us know each student is unique, each student is different, and we need to handle them, we need to tackle them, and I would say hats off to my team members with the class teachers, because you need to talk to so many parents whose emotions are very much unpredictable for all of you. Whenever you call them up for any reason, could be fees or anything, the kind of response that you get as a class teacher is unimaginable, and you can't even predict how the other side parent might talk to you. So with all this, as we teachers, people who belong to this community, I would say we need to understand this emotional intelligence, which is very much applicable in our life. When you say application, it is important even in our personal life as well as professional life. With this context, I thought of dealing with emotional intelligence today. So we'll have a discussion about it. I'm not a complete expertise in this emotional intelligence, but I've done some research in this area, which made me to take up this topic as my topic for the presentation for today. And why emotional intelligence? If you just look at 2022 skills outlook, which is being given by the World Economic Forum, if you look at growing skills that are needed and the declining skills, on the growing skills, and the eighth parameter is emotional intelligence. These are the skills that are very much expected to be developed in all of us. So eighth skill is emotional intelligence. And if you just look at on the right side of the slide, declining skills, we have manual dexterity, endurance, memory, verbal, auditory, spatial knowledge, all this stuff. So this is where the role of artificial intelligence has entered today, which most of these tasks are done by artificial intelligence today. But emotional intelligence is something which is out of artificial intelligence control, because we as human beings are blessed with that attribute, which makes us to be special features on this world, or you could say universe. So with this context, because all of us know what is the role of World Economic Forum, and when it has identified emotional intelligence as one of the important parameter, it is very important for all of us to understand what emotional intelligence. So I just run through this evolution of emotional intelligence. Though we speak about emotional intelligence today, it is not very new. If you just look at it was coined in the year 1870s by Charles Darwin, which all of us know, who gave the theory of survival of the fittest. Charles Darwin, he first comments on the term emotional intelligence, and after that, for a span of almost 60 years, there was not much of work that was done in the area of emotional intelligence. And in 1930s, social intelligence was first identified a person called as E.L. Thorndike. And after a decade, Wesher suggests that affective components of intelligence may be useful to, sorry. And then in 1950s, whom we as commerce and management faculty know, that is Abraham Maslow. He described how people can build emotional intelligence. And in 1970s, there's a person called as Howard Gardner, who introduced this concept of multiple intelligence in his book, The Shattered Mind. So today we are looking at multiple intelligences, which comprises of spatial intelligences. Out of that, one is emotional intelligence as per Howard Gardner. And in 1980s, psychologists like Peter Salovey and John Mayer published their landmark article on emotional intelligence. And we could say this was the turning point towards emotional intelligence. And Peter Salovey and John Mayer, they have done a lot of work toward on this emotional intelligence. But ultimately, the credit of coining this emotional intelligence goes to Daniel Goleman, who popularized this emotional intelligence in 1990s with his best-selling book that speaks about. So, though emotional intelligence is spoken much today, because if you take anything, we say IQ, EQ, SQ. So, intelligent quotient, emotional quotient, spiritual quotient, and recently there are two more quotients that are added to, especially the leadership qualities. Towards the leadership qualities, there are two more quotients that are added. One is CQ. Any idea like what is CQ? CQ is curiosity quotient. Become leaders, especially if anybody is looking at growing up in their career ladder, it's very important to have curiosity quotient. That is, what is happening, why this is happening, all that. At least we need to worry to an extent why all these are happening. So that is curiosity quotient, which is recently added to it. And a very recent one to the same list of IQ, EQ, SQ, and CQ is AQ. Probably you would have heard AQ in the recent days. Adversity quotient, or no, some of the people refer to it as adaptability quotient. Adversity, all of us know, unexpected moments or unexpected situations or events. So in that moment, how do you take those adversity situations into opportunities? How do you handle those adversities is adversity quotient. If you just take the current situation of COVID-19 pandemic, none of us had expected this kind of situation. But today, what has happened with all of us? All of us are doing online classes, work from home, which we didn't even thought of that we will be doing it in the future. If otherwise was asked to do online classes, what we would have done? All of us would have thought twice to do this, because now this is our adversity quotient, I would say, because all of us have developed ourselves to an extent that at least we can manage online classes, if not very efficient and effective completely, but to an extent, yes, we can deliver the best possible from us in this. So these are the new concepts that have come up: IQ, EQ, SQ, CQ, and AQ. And what is emotional intelligence? It's very easy to understand the meaning of emotional intelligence, but how many of us practice is question mark. That is, emotional intelligence is being aware of one's feelings and those of others. Very simple, no? I need to understand my feelings, and as well I need to understand the feelings of others. So Goldman defined emotional intelligence as the array of skills and characteristics that drive leadership performance. See, as long as we are team players, team coordinators, or team leaders, it's very important to understand emotions of the other fellow beings with us. It's very important. We might think, why it is so important, because all of us are human beings. All of us need to understand what other person thinks about himself or herself, and along with that, I also need to understand myself as well. So I need to be aware of myself, and I also need to be aware of my other team members or my colleagues. Intelligence and technical capabilities are important, but emotional intelligence is the synchronon of leadership. When you say leaders, you always need to have emotional intelligence. So all of us, so synchronon is like, the part of it or the other name of it. When you say leadership, someone should, leader should possess emotional intelligence. That's where we differentiate between administrators and leaders. Administrators do not need emotional intelligence because they'll be only doing the administration of policies, procedures, systems. But leaders are those who try to influence people, who tries to have their followers, who would be able to make some difference in the other person's life. So it's very important to have emotional intelligence as leaders. And dimensions of emotional intelligence. There are 5 important dimensions of emotional intelligence. Self awareness, first one, and self regulation or self management, and social skills, empathy, motivation. These are the 5 important dimensions of emotional intelligence. All these 5 dimensions put together, our emotional intelligence would always be a little higher. So let us understand each of these dimensions in brief. Self-awareness. Why to become self-aware? Why should I know myself? Why should I understand myself? Many of the times we would always be worried about the other people. That person speaks like this person speaks like that, all that stuff. Have you ever thought of how do I speak? How am I? How do I talk to? So why am I supposed to be aware of myself? One is to improve performance. If I can understand my strengths, if I can analyze my strengths and understand my weaknesses as well, so that I can work on my weaknesses, convert my weaknesses into strengths to the possible extent so that I can improve my performance. And to manage oneself, to manage yourself, if I'm self-aware, I can manage myself better than otherwise. To set appropriate goals, I need to know what is my capability, how much I can achieve, and above that I can set my goal so that I would be able to reach that goal. And choose appropriate careers. The careers, whenever we take up any career, that has to be with passion. It's not like, I didn't get any other job, so I've come to teaching. So that then somewhere we may fail in a career. That's the reason we need to know, self-aware person will always be able to choose the appropriate career. In the sense, what is my strength? For example, if I have to become a teacher, few expected qualities are communication, confidence, subject knowledge, and very important thing is willingness to learn every day. As a teacher, once I learn any subject, I may not become master in that, or I may not become expertise in that, but every time I need to add on to it. So it's like, lifelong learners. So if I can understand that, okay, I have those qualities, then I can take up my teaching profession. That is the reason self-aware person can choose appropriate careers. Very important is manage stress. All of us we say, sometimes, it's very stressful job, but without stress we cannot manage it. No, we cannot do anything. But there's something called as eustress, EUSTRES, as eustress, that is positive stress, which all of us need. If there is no stress, then we will not work. We become very relaxed, at least some of us. So, and we should also know how to manage stress. There are ways, if you do things like, prioritize things, urgent, very important, or important, something like this, and handle it, it becomes easy for us to manage the stress, and also to understand difference between you and others. Many times we take it for granted. Sometimes, at least not every time, at least sometimes we take it for granted that, the other person is also like me. It's actually not. Each of us are unique. So I need to understand the difference between me and the other people. Understand why others react to you the way they do. All of us know response and react. When you get a response, communication is proper. When somebody is reacting, we need to understand where did we go wrong. Adapt your communication to others' need. Communication is important, but that communication should be in such a way that we are communicating it to the other's need. For example, I have a class of 10 people, but I'm talking on top of my voice, and I'm doing my class on top of my voice. Is that necessary to that small crowd of 10 people? Actually, the drawbacks are on my throat, which is my asset. Actually, as teachers, I always keep telling, throat or our voice box is our asset, because without that we do not have anything to sell as teachers. So communication to others need, at what pace we are doing, the speed, and the number of words that we can utter in a particular minute, or what kind of words that we are using, all that. And to also to develop interpersonal skills, we need to be very much self-aware. Interpersonal skills, all of us know. Intrapersonal, that is within person. Interpersonal is between people. All of us are social beings. When we are living in the society, all of us need to talk to people, live with the people, get along with the people, for which we need interpersonal skills. So to develop interpersonal skills, I need to be aware of myself. So when we try to become self-aware, we will be able to speak accurately and openly about. One second, Kiran. Kiran.
Hello.
Kiran, right side Ali. These four, mine, NCMS, CB, Garish, all this is seen, which is hiding my
Okay, ma'am.
screen to an extent.
One ನಿಮಿಷ ma'am. Ma'am, ಈಗ
ಬರ್ತಿದೆ ಹಾಗೆ.
Okay, ma'am. 1 second, ma'am.
I become self-aware, I would be able to speak accurately and openly about his emotions and the impact they have on the work. One. And second important thing is knows about strengths and weaknesses and welcomes constructive criticism. This is very important for all of us. Receiving criticism constructively. If somebody says, this is where you need to improve, this is where you went wrong, very moment we take it to the heart, and somewhere we go low, which is not actually is not the right way to handle it. Take the criticism constructively, and whenever we give criticism, it has to be constructive criticism so that somebody improves on it. And self-aware person is also recognized by self-confidence. When I know what I am, obviously I'll be confident. So it's very important for us to recognize or to understand myself. And the second one is self-management. So when we are self-managed, we are able to create an environment of trust and fairness. Self-managed people are always kind of disciplined, and they build trust in the minds of, or people who are there around them. And see, when we can manage ourselves, it helps in handling change management and ambiguity as well. And it enhances integrity. Integrity is something, integrity is you do what you speak. In the sense, there is no difference between your words and actions. So when I'm self-managed, my integrity would be little higher than the otherwise. So enhances integrity, which is personal virtue as well as an organizational strength as well. As long as I can manage my things, I get a name that, okay, this person can manage things. When this person says I'll do it, this person will do it. That's the trust that I can build, which in turn becomes a strength to the organization as well, because organization will trust you whenever they give you any task to accomplish. They have a trust on you, so it becomes a strength for me and for my organization as well. And third dimension is internal motivation. All of us have studied so much about motivation, or all of us have read through motivation. So there are two motivation, like two types of motivation, I would say, internal and external. External motivation is like extrinsic also, you can call it as, like you get it from outside, something like salary, a good handsome salary, or you could say rewards, appreciation. All this is extrinsic motivation. But intrinsic motivation is which is from within, the urge that is there within a person. That is my behavior, which I generally engage through. And whenever we have internal motivation, we do not look for external motivation. We do not expect somebody to motivate me. Like, sometimes when somebody tells us, like, yes, you can do this, you can do this, then we become like, oh, they're telling, yes, I can do it. That is external. But some internal motivation is, I have to tell to myself, yes, I can do this. So when we have internal motivation, we seek out to creative challenges. Challenges are very important in life. Most of the times, all of us have know about this ostrich theory. No, ostrich is one of the all of us know ostrich is the fastest running bird. Generally, birds are meant to fly, but ostrich runs, and it runs so fast that the speed is very very high. But what happens after running for some time, it tries to hide its beak in the mud or sand, thinking, if I hide my beak or my face in the mud, I will not be visible to the my enemy. So here, the capacity of ostrich is so much that the enemy cannot run behind ostrich. That is the fastest running bird, as we know. But still, it is trying to run away from the challenges by hiding its face in the mud. That's not actually the right way of facing the challenges. Whatever the challenges come, you have to face it. You should not run away from this, or we should not hide from this. So whenever we have internal motivation, we take those challenges creatively. We love to learn. As teachers, this is our one, probably we would say this is one of our requirement or a quality that all of us need to possess, and displays tremendous energy to do the things better. That's very important. Like, from morning till evening, if we have the same level of energy, we would be able to display it. After an hour, like, if like, from morning 9 to 11, I had my classes. By the time I take my post lunch session, I'm tired. ಹೆಂಗಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮುಖ ಸಪ್ಪಕ್ಕಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮಕ್ಳಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತೆ, ಮೇಡಮ್ ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಸುಸ್ತಾಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಇನ್ನೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ನಮ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸು ಅಂತ. So what kind of tremendous energy that we carry out throughout the day matters a lot. Whatever it is, ಬೆಳಗ್ಗೆಯಿಂದ ಸಂಜೆವರೆಗೂ ಅದೇ ಎನರ್ಜಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ನ ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಬಹಳ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್, ಬಹಳ ಕಷ್ಟ ಕೂಡ, ಬಟ್ ಇಟ್ಸ್ ವೆರಿ ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಟು ಮೇಂಟೈನ್ ಇಟ್. And people with internal motivation always promotes divergent thinking. Probably creativity, innovation, ಓದುವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಡೆ we would have read through this divergent thinking ಎಲ್ಲಾರು. There are two ways of thinking. One is convergent thinking and the other one is divergent thinking. Convergent thinking is like, we follow 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. But divergent thinking is 2 plus 2 can be 22. 2 plus 2 can be 5. All this, thinking out of the box. Why we have to follow the same methodology, or why we have to follow the same thing? Why can't we look at it from a different point of view? ಸೊ ಆ ತರ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, ಐ ಹ್ಯಾವ್ ಟು ಬಿ ಇಂಟರ್ನಲಿ ಮೋಟಿವೇಟೆಡ್. And the best part of internal motivation is we are always optimistic in nature. That's very important. ನಾವು ಮುಳುಗೋಗ್ತಾ ಇದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ರೂನುವೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಬದುಕ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ಆಸೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್ ಬದುಕ್ತೀವಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ನಂಬಿಕೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕು. Being optimistic will always help us to find a new way, better way. ಕೊರೋನಾ ಬಂದಿದೆ ಅಂತ if all of us think, oh my God, I will also die, then who will be, surviving on this earth? But we need to be optimistic about it. This is a situation, this will also pass through, but there are ways of handling it. So optimistic nature will always give us new avenues, new ways, sometimes even new life. And a person with the internal motivation is always committed to the company. That's how they look at, like, as long as I'm there, I have to give my best to the company. I'm committed for this. So that is internal motivation. And fourth important dimension is empathy. All of us know the difference between sympathy and empathy. Sympathy is, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಪಾಪ ಅವ್ನು ಬಿದ್ದೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ಟ, ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ನೋಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀನಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೋ ಬಿದ್ದೋಗ್ಬಿಟ್ರು, ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಪಾಪ ಅವ್ನು ಬಿದ್ದೋದ, ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾನು ನಿಂತಿರೋ ಜಾಗದಿಂದ ಚೂರೂ ಕದಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಹೆಂಗ್ ನಿಂತಿದ್ದೀನೋ ಗುಂಡನ್ ತರ ಹಂಗೆ ನಿಂತಿರ್ತೀನಿ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಸಿಂಪತಿ. ಬಟ್ ಮೈ ಹಾರ್ಟ್ ಫೀಲ್ಸ್ ಫಾರ್ ದಟ್. No, if you have read somewhere, like, even Puttaparthi Sai Baba says, helping hands are better than praying lips. Same is empathy. Putting yourself in the shoes of the other person and trying to understand. If you just look at this picture, you can see, the person on the right side is hurted, but we know exactly how you feel. That's feeling from the heart is empathy. ಅಯ್ಯೋ ಪಾಪ ತುಟಿ ಹತ್ರ ಇಂದ ಬರೋದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. How helpful is it, or how useful is it? Empathy is the ability to hear the message beneath the words spoken. A empathetic person can always understand the person, though the person has not told anything. So there is something which is beneath the words. See, when I'm if, for example, you meet your friend is in pain, but when you say how are you, the person says, oh, I'm doing good. But by looking at the physical dexterity of the person, you can understand whether the person is really well or not. That is understanding the words that are unspoken. Helps in coaching and mentoring towards improved performance and job satisfaction. And empathy also increase, it has increased use of teams. Rapid pace of globalization, the growing need to retain talent necessitates empathy in leaders. See, today all of us are working in teams. All of us know it. There is increased use of teams today, and there is rapid pace of globalization, and also retaining the talent. All this requires empathy in leaders. And the last dimension is social skills. Sometime before I told all of us are social beings, and we need to have interpersonal skills, social skills. A social skill is any competence which facilitates interaction and communication with others, where social rules and relations are created, communicated, and changed in verbal and non-verbal ways. So it's very, social skills are very important for the leadership capability. Socially skilled employee is proficient in managing teams. Because when you can feel the pulse of your team members, when you can understand, when you have the skills to understand, all of us become effective in managing the teams. And person with the social skills will always become an excellent collaborator. Collaborative is something like, it's like creating a win-win situation. At both the ends, both of us have benefited. It's not like I lose or you win, I lose. Collaborator always looks at not harming anybody, but reaching a better position where the parties involved are happy. Social skill allows leaders to put their emotional intelligence at work. And these are the 5 important dimensions of emotional intelligence. And all of us do possess these dimensions. But what does the portion or the area in which we need to improve, which skills I am good at, which skills I need to improve, that we need to understand. If you can manage these 5 skills properly, we will be able to become a very good leader and manage. And my last slide, which speaks about application of emotional intelligence. Research on emotional intelligence has shown that most successful people who consistently outperform their peers tend to exhibit more of ES skills and traits. If any of us wants to outperform, in the sense better, perform better than our teammates, that is because of emotional intelligence skills that we have, or the traits, that is characteristics. And emotional intelligence is very important in decision making. Emotional intelligence plays an important role in decision making because all of us know ಗಾದೆ ಇದೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಟ್ಟಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಯ್ಕೊಂಡು ಮೂಗ್ ಕುಯ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಬರುತ್ತಾ ಅಂತ. Because when your emotions are imbalanced and whatever decisions you take in that moment are not right decisions. So whenever you make decisions, emotional intelligence has to be proper. So then you have leadership. Today, one of the important trait or the characteristic that is looked for the leaders is emotional intelligence. How much a leader can understand his teammates, how much he can manage his teammate, all that is. So team building, because see, as long as we are team players or team coordinators or team leaders, we always need to have emotional intelligence because we are dealing with the members in the team. And conflict resolution. See, when we can manage our emotions properly, there will not be any conflicts at all. When do we get into conflicts is when we are unable to manage. But with all that, though some conflicts have come in because though like you are correct on your thing, but the somewhere we go wrong. But emotional intelligence helps us out to resolve any kind of conflicts, because you can go back to the person, say sorry for whatever we have done, like you can look at it, try to get it solved, so that even at the end of the day both the people are happy. It's very important to have a conflict free environment to the extent possible, but here and there some small no misunderstandings might pop up for all of us, like could be between husband and a wife, or between parents and children, or between colleagues, whatever it is, but all those can be resolved with the proper emotional intelligence. And profession and workplace, that's what I was talking about, like in our profession we should know emotional intelligence to a very great extent. See, as all of us are working together, it's very important to understand each other, but we need to be very careful when you take people for granted. You can't take people for granted. And sometimes what happens, like we try to have our own small groups, kind of a thing, and try to share things only there, in the workplace. We try to share things only between that group, and we're not open to the other people. So all that is, we could say, like a very unhealthy thing. It's as a member, as a player in the team, I need to be in a position to get along with everybody. I should be in a position to talk to everybody freely. I should be able to connect myself to all the team players in the workplace. That's very important. If you are trying to bridge, if you are trying to build a bridge, it's always appreciated. But if you're trying to build a wall, that distracts all of us. And none of us are getting benefited out of this, because all of us know the role of wall and bridge. Bridge connects many people from many places. When we are able to connect to many people, we would be able to learn more. As an individual, I would be able to learn more, which in turn enhances my personality or knowledge base. I would be able to do better than what I'm doing today if I can connect to more number of people. So application of EI is very important, whether it is personal life or professional life. But here I have spoken only about professional life. So if you have anything.
Madam?
Next slide ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ ಯಾಕೆ? ಬಂತು. So with this quote, I would like to conclude my topic on emotional intelligence. It is not the strongest of the species who survive, nor the most intelligent, but those who are most adaptive to change. This was given by scientist Charles Darwin. Thank you to all of you for being such a wonderful audience. And if you have anything to discuss about it. Yeah, well, like, no, I won't be able to hear you completely, only for a few seconds.
Okay, sure, ma'am.
Yes, Firdaus, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, it's okay. Ma'am, my question is, as we all know that people are nowadays, they are in a rat race. They are in a fierce competition. So, how far do you think people will take emotional intelligence very seriously? You know, people, they are so competitive that they will not be very much empathetic. They will not very much think about others' emotions. So do you think nowadays people will take emotional intelligence very seriously?
See, all of us are running at a very fast pace. I do accept it, because all of us wants to grow fast, try to achieve everything at a faster pace. But who would be able to reach the goals that they have planned is only a person who has empathy. Because when you are growing, it has to be collective growth. If I'm growing, my whole team should grow. In the sense, the example is, if one person is growing, the whole team should be in a position to grow. If it is individual growth, it's only a short term. When you have to achieve anything, it has to be a collective development or collective growth of the whole team. For that, you need to be empathetic. Anybody for that matter need to be empathetic, because all of us know synergy. If I have to achieve something, see, the other example I'll take, if any manager is doing really well, it is not just the manager's role that has made him to do wonders. It's because of the members of the team. The credit goes to manager. So if manager has to grow, he has to understand his team members. He has to be empathetic towards his members. Then only he as a manager can grow. Otherwise, leaving the members, if he has to grow, he cannot achieve that growth. So here, anybody, if I have to grow, I should look at my left and right and take them along with me. Then only I can grow. Flying is easy as a single individual or as an individual, but tomorrow when we have to achieve something, it's collective growth at the end of the day, for which we need empathetic approach. I think it was too elaborative for this.
No, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am.
Was it useful, at least the topic which I chose?
Yes, ma'am. Very, very much, ma'am.
Madam ji, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I want to know from your side how long a person has to depend on external motivation for the survival.
Sir, as long as my internal motivation is strong, I need not depend on external motivation all the time.
Okay.
If my internal motivation is strong, sir, I need not wait for external motivation to motivate me. But at times, though we go down, we look for internal motivation, but that's not the ultimate, sir.
Okay.
I hope I have answered your question, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful answer.